Hey, all. So my shirt says "No love, no tacos." Oh, we should start off with trigger warning, mental health, yada yada. Shirt says "No love, no tacos." If you don't know what that refers to, I would highly encourage you to Google it. Um, Today, I don't really have much love, at least not for me. But I said, "Fuck it, I want tacos," or at least Taco Bell. Closest approximation that I could get today. So I don't even know if I'm going to post this because I just kind of wanted to get this out, maybe feel a little better. Um, it's so the topic du jour would be radical acceptance, and usually at the what I try to do with these videos is to have some kind of positive outcome, either things that I do or unsolicited advice, or just not to keep it dark and end it dark. And I'll see where this goes. The radical acceptance. Radical acceptance, simply put, is to accept a situation as it is without judgment, without positive or negative implications. This was something taught to me fairly recently. And it's not to say that you can't do anything about it. It's just that it's more of something happens or there's something about your situation that you cannot change at the moment. And you just simply accept it. It is what it is, as it were. And you don't think badly of yourself about it. You don't think positively about yourself about it. You don't place any judgment whatsoever on that thing. And I tend to follow that practice outside of my life, and I've tried to follow that even before I heard about this radical acceptance idea of not judging things, because I find that it's not helpful. It's not helpful for me. It's tended and also can be counterproductive to what I want to do with myself. If somebody says something that I just disagree with, instead of making a judgment saying that person is an asshole for saying that, and getting myself angry about that person being an asshole and then reacting along those lines, and making the situation worse, I try to not make a judgment as to whether or not that's try not to make an assumption or make a judgment on the particular statement or particular action somebody has done. So, and there are certain things that I can radically accept. That I will never be on top of laundry. I will always have a pile of laundry that needs to get done that I'm just not going to get around to doing until it becomes a monster load of laundry. I have radically accepted that. I have radically accepted that Disney is not going to put out another worthy Star Wars franchise probably in my lifetime. I've come to accept that. I've come to, not that it matters to me, but I've also come to accept that the Jets suck and are going to continue to suck, again, probably for the rest of my lifetime. But there are certain things I cannot accept. There are certain things that I just can't. So if you've watched these, I have a mental illness that is not curable, or at least not the present state. I have gone through therapy. I've gone through hospitalizations. I've gone through all manner of drugs. I've even gone through shock treatment, or ECT as it's politely known today. And none of it is cured. Some of it hasn't even done anything, and then even on the minor occasions, there have been my situation got worse. by certain meds I had a very bad reaction with. Basically had the exact opposite effect of what they were prescribed to do. It happened. The point I'm trying to make is that there is no cure for what I've got. And if you have bipolar, or if you have certain mental illnesses, schizophrenia, and so forth, there's no cure for you either. At least not to my knowledge. And that's something that I've got to radically accept. I have to accept that this is a part of my life, very much like my height, my hair color. Oh, that was the other thing. I radically accept that I cannot seem to get my hair cut regularly. These are just some, I have to accept that I was born into a certain situation. And the key thing is I have to do so without judgment. I have to do so without saying, I have this. Why do I have this? Why is my life? Why do I have to live my life this way in pain and in sorrow? And why it's not fair that I live this way, and so forth and so on. And often it comes up that I brought this upon myself. My illness is something of my own making. And that is a bad thing. I get angry with myself for thinking, if I believe that if I go down that rabbit hole, then obviously I have a lot of anger in that. How dare I do this to myself? How dare I put myself in this situation? All of the opportunities that I have lost, all the relationships that I have lost. Damn me for doing that. And for a very long time, that really drove my way of thinking in my life was, and I would just ruminate on that. I would just ruminate on all the shit that I did wrong, all the shit that I perceived myself to do wrong, all the opportunities that I let pass by, or in all the relationships that that I could not keep, including to the one love of my life, which I, even though it's been decades, I still can't seem to let that one go. But more and more, I'm trying to understand that. I said I don't have very cogent thoughts today, but ultimately, what I tell myself is those things happen. I made those choices, and I have to live with the consequences of those choices. But those choices are not a reflection on who I am as a person. They're not a reflection. They're not a negative reflection of who I am as a person. They're not something that I should feel shame for. At the time, I did the best I could with the tools that I had at my disposal at that point. And I tried, and I tell myself that. I tell myself that over and over again. And which is fine if it would stop. I think that I could succeed with radical acceptance very well if I didn't have to, if this pain and suffering would end, and not in the hole, and not in a self-imposed way. If it would just end, if it was be like, all right, this illness happened, I lived with it, and, I did what I did with it, and while suffering with it, and then move on. What problem I have is I'm still suffering. I'm still in pain, damn near daily. I cannot seem to keep stable relationships of any sort. there's always chaos. There's always, because of actions that I do or actions that I don't do, my life is chaotic. I can't keep to a regular schedule. I can't keep to the commitments that I make. I try to do what I can to mitigate the damage that does, but I'm not always successful. And I feel like a piece of shit for doing it. And I feel like a piece of shit for not, I've been at this for decades. I've had to live with this disease for decades. And if I were ever to consider myself insane, it would be the old adage that I think Einstein came up with of doing the same thing and expecting different results. I just keep falling in the same habits or keep falling into the same traps. And certain traps I've gotten out of, certain habits, bad habits I've gotten out of, but other habits nope, keep doing them over and over again. And I hate myself for it. I think badly of it. I think to myself, what kind of person allows themselves to do this to themselves and to do this to other people? I could go off on a tangent on that, but I don't think it's all that healthy or really beneficial to anyone watching this. I don't know how to accept that. I don't know how to accept the fact that I self-sabotage. I don't know how to accept the fact that I don't take my medication on a regular basis. I, generally speaking, take it every day. There are a couple of days, like yesterday, I missed, but I tend to generally take it every day, but that's apparently not good enough. What I really need to be doing is taking it not only every day, but at the same time every day, so that my body, so the levels of the medication stay constant throughout my cycle or my daily cycle. But I'm having a real hard time doing that. So, am I supposed to accept that? Yes, but again, what I have to tell myself is accepting is not surrender. Accepting is not saying, well, this is my life. There's nothing I can do about it. There are things that I can do. Been told many times, have an alarm, have someone call you, yada, yada. None of that works, or none of that has worked in the past. And that's where my scientific mind comes into play and kind of kicks me in the ass. Is if something happens, if a phenomenon occurs and reoccurs, and then one would expect it would continue that way ad infinitum. Basically, if history is anything to go by, then I'm going to continue to do what I'm going to be doing, and shouldn't be no expectation that I'm going to be able to change in any way. Although it just occurred to me that in a certain system, if you apply an outside force or you change, I'm not a closed system, there may be some external factor that could change, which could change the phenomenon. Anyway, I'm really bad at this point. And of course, I'm not a metronome. I'm not a pendulum or spring. At least, well, that's again, topic for another time. How does one accept that they're going to spend the rest of their lives in pain? Mitigated or not, this disease is not going away. I will have to take steps to mitigate, to take care of myself in ways nobody or not other folks can. And I'm not unique. I know of a couple of folks who live with lifelong illnesses that they're going to have to deal with, or they are dealing with. And I can only imagine the fucking struggle they're going through, and maybe the just anger at having to fucking deal with that every single day. And then, of course, you have people with physical disabilities that, you know, they have whatever their disability may be, they have to work their lives around them. And this is a world that is not kind to that sort of thing. This world is not kind to those who are not fully able. Shocker, I know. There's a lot of anger. And I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where to channel it. I don't know. I'm trying to channel into these videos, basically. I don't know if people watch them or not. And I guess that might be the positive thing. I guess that might be the thing I'll end on is so my judgment when it comes to dealing with this sort of shit is anger. I think of myself as weak for having this disease because, you know, for some reason I can control this sort of thing. I have control over my brain chemistry. I have control over the environment in which I was raised or the environment which I've lived through. And so I think of myself as weak for having this illness. And that pisses me off. And that's where a lot of my self-hatred comes from, is the fact that I feel like I brought this upon myself, that I can't and also that I can't pull myself up by my bootstraps. Hate that phrase. Hate people, I shouldn't say I hate people who use it, but it's anger. That's my judgment. That's the end result of my judgment. So I need to channel it. For me, that anger can also very easily transforms into despair or into sorrow. Oh, channeling it. Not a new concept, not an original concept, but the idea is just find something that you can do and do it, and hopefully that will relieve some of the pressure. That will, for me, that will release some of that anger or heal some of that sorrow. And really, that's kind of why I do these things. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in the past. It's why I make these videos, because it's a way for me to try to channel this shit into something useful, or really just channel it so that it gets out there and it's not stuck in my psyche and having myself ruminate on it over and over again. Although I suppose that's kind of redundant. So, but I don't know, but that still, for me, doesn't get me to radical acceptance. All that does is it deals with the symptoms of not being able to radically accept that this is my life, this is what I need to do, and I need to take better care of myself. There are things that I absolutely need to do that, you know, other folks can let slide. Diet, exercise, getting my meds, taking them regularly, all that kind of good stuff. You know, these are things that theoretically will make me feel better, will potentially make my life less chaotic, and they're not things that I can let slide. But I don't know how to accept it. And if folks have any ideas as to if you've accepted if you have something in your life that will never change or will constantly be with you for the rest of your life, and you've somehow come to peace with it and you've managed to accept it in your life, please let me know. I'm sure there are things that I haven't even thought of because, well, I'm stuck. So, all right. I think I'll stop babbling and uh, yeah, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day or what have you. Until the next time. Where is that button?